The following podcast is a Dear Media production.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Real Stuff podcast and another episode of our sub-series called Don't Hang Up, where I pick up my phone and I call people in my real life and ask them deeply personal questions and urge them, please don't hang up. I actually recorded this episode a few days ago, but I'm coming back here just to record the intro because I want you guys to have the context and understand who I'm calling and what's going on here. In this episode, I called a really good friend of mine, Monique. She's one of my best friends from Johns Hopkins University, and I was calling her to touch base about her recent destination wedding in Cabo, where there was a tropical cyclone on the day of her wedding. A little bit of background about Monique. She was a pre-med student at Johns Hopkins, and she has since college been working on becoming a doctor. Honestly, the pathway to the medical world is so much longer than I can even understand. And she's just now, age 32, passed her boards. She is now a board certified anesthesiologist. I am so proud of everything she's done in her career. And I've just watched her go through years and years of schooling to do what she loves. And she's so good at it. She did not know that I was calling her. So you'll see in the actual call, I have to tell her that she's live on the podcast as we're talking. But I called her because I had just come back from a few days in Cabo with Michael celebrating her wedding, and we all traveled to Mexico for what she was planning to be a gorgeous beach wedding celebration outdoors at the hotel. And unfortunately, the day before her wedding, it was beautiful weather, and the day after her wedding, it was beautiful weather, but the actual day of her wedding was, as I mentioned, a tropical cyclone. Not just a rainstorm, it was a cyclone a few miles off the coast of Cabo. It was actually raining horizontally, slamming in their faces as they stood up on the little platform and got married in front of everyone in the pouring rain. There were a lot of interesting learnings on the back of this wedding, probably mostly learnings, I would say, for a wedding planner, because probably the biggest issue with this particular wedding was that the planners had not come up with a backup plan. My understanding is that apparently Cabo only gets 1 to 2 days of rain a year or something, and unfortunately it happened to be on the day of the wedding. But because it's so rare to get rain in the desert, they just did not have a backup plan. And the hotel did not actually have the space to accommodate the backup plan. So you will hear in the episode a little bit about what wound up happening, but I did want to debrief with her as a recent bride and for someone who was one of the last ones of our friends to get married. So someone who has been to everyone else's celebration and has built up a vision of hers for years and years, and then here we are at the actual day, and weather-wise, it's a disaster. I wanted to debrief that with her and hear her final takeaways and maybe get her advice for any future brides to be about how to handle weather mishaps at your wedding. So I'm going to throw it off to that call with Monique, and remember, she didn't know I was calling. Let's get into it.
Hi, Cindy.
Hi, Mo. How's it going?
I'm good. I just got home from work.
Oh, welcome home. I miss you. Happy wedding.
I miss you. I'm like getting so sad that I had so much of my favorites around me for like weeks, and now we're back in the work grind.
I know, how sad. Well, I have to tee up for you before I say another word, just so that you know.
Oh gosh.
I'm recording this call right now for my podcast.
Oh, how exciting.
And I'm totally aggressively coming at you without giving you any context. But
Okay.
I thought that this would make a really great short episode topic because, like, and I mean really short. I don't know what you're up to. I don't want to take your whole day away, but I was thinking about what just happened at your wedding and the craziness around the weather. And I know there are a lot of brides out there who are soon to be married. And I think we need to talk about what happened on the day of your wedding. And I just want to hear how you feel about it after the fact.
Okie doke. I definitely think that weather is a sensitive topic that should probably be talked about. I feel so happy with how our wedding went, and I wouldn't have changed a thing, like, even despite it raining on the actual wedding day, even though it hadn't rained in Cabo for the entire freaking year. And it was certainly not my plan A. But at the end of the day, I felt like this like storm and monster and beast that like we could all come together and overcome. It really like an army to pick me up through that, and as my dear bridesmaid who was there with me. I think that you experienced that firsthand. I think just the shock of rain and not being like emotionally prepared for that, and having planned for a year and a half this wedding that was going to be in the open air in the bright sun of Mexico. I was like kind of floored that all of a sudden in the morning, the wedding planner was like, "It's gonna rain. We're gonna have to change everything." And we had no plan B because I guess it doesn't usually rain during that season in Cabo. So she really didn't ever discuss a plan B with me. And there were not even a lot of indoor options in our venue. So I think the initial shock and like not having something that was already planned was really challenging on the day of, and it like took me out of the moment of like celebrating and like the joyous occasion for, probably the first half of the morning. I'm so grateful that I had like so many friends and family like step up to the plate and help in like creating a plan B on that morning of. I was really grateful for that. But at the end of the day, like life is unexpected, right? And we have to weather the storms with the people we love. And um, my bride tribe was freaking epic, including all my bridesmaids who like sang to me as I was sobbing and like wiped my tears and put my clothes on for me, as we can see in some hilarious videos.
Really, it was such a for me in my experience having been to many weddings, it was such a roller coaster of a day because I mean, first and foremost, I would say biggest learning for people out there and not even for the bride, but for planners, I guess, who are planning weddings is no matter where you are, even if you're in a place that gets very infrequent rainfall, you do need to make sure that there's a plan that the bride is happy with in the event of rain because it is kind of crazy to spring on a bride the morning of her Mexico beach wedding that she can't do it where she wants to do it anymore and there are limited options and people dream their whole life about how their walk down the aisle is going to look and what it's going to be like when they're standing up there and I know you so well. I know you dreamed your whole life about this moment and you are one of the last of our friends to get married. You got to see everyone go through their dream weddings, and now here we are for yours. And even your now husband's vows to you, which was like so powerful to hear standing there in the cyclone of the storm, was all about how much love you poured into the planning of the wedding and how much you wanted people there to feel loved and to feel the joy of the day and how much attention to detail you had with every aspect of the planning. And so to not have a plan on the day of the wedding that you were happy with going into it adds so much stress to your day as a bride. And from a bridesmaid perspective, I mean, we got to see you, not even got to, we had to see you go through this roller coaster of emotions of like truly going from anger and denial about it to
Yeah, it was a total roller
you were in
coaster.
total denial at first and you were going to figure out a way to make it happen and then the law was laid down, you had to figure it out and then you kind of went into this deep sad space where I don't even know if you remember this or if you blacked it out, but like at one point you were like, I think we should just cancel the wedding.
Oh my God, that's so dramatic.
I mean, but you were sad and this was your special day and it wasn't going as you planned. And we had to figure out how to handle that situation because saying to a bride, it's okay, it's not a big deal, like that's not the right thing to say. So
Yeah.
did the bridesmaids and your family and the people that were there for you, do you feel like we handled it in a way that felt good to you?
Yes, I definitely feel like my support system, like my friends and family and that you just mentioned were incredible and above and beyond and like more than anything I can dream of in the way that they handled it. The problem was just, as you said previously, that there wasn't a structured plan B or even like a mention of a plan B because, like you said, we planned for a whole year and a lot of times like for years before that visualizing what you might want. But if you at least have a plan B that you feel like semi comfortable with, like if it needs to be that on the morning of, you're not like so jarred and like just like undergoing this roller coaster in the moment. So I agree that that was definitely the hardest part, but it was also so special to see you guys like lift me up in so many different ways.
Yeah, that was honestly for us, it was hard to figure out what was the right way to approach it and what we could possibly say to you to get you out of your funk. But I think we all wound up sitting with you for about 5 minutes, just letting you cry. Even though you had just gotten your makeup done, we let you cry, and we were saying, this really does suck. It's sad. It's not fair. You're right. Everything you're saying, you're right. And then we put on Waving Through a Window, and we put on Ironic by Alanis Morissette. It's like rain on your wedding day. We started dancing. We turned it into something fun. And my memory now, in hindsight, now that it's over, and by the way, it's not my wedding, so I would love to hear your hindsight memory, but my memory now in hindsight is so joyous and memorable, because sometimes like disastrous moments with your best friends that you make the best of a crazy situation just wind up sticking in your mind better than if it was just a perfect sunny day in Mexico and we all walked down the beach.
Yeah, you're literally gonna make me cry because I feel like it was so impactful, and the word that you used, memorable, like keeps getting floated around by like everyone who is there, because I feel like, life will throw a freaking tropical cyclone at you, and if you don't have a team that can pick you up and back you up during that time, it's really difficult. And you guys validated my experience. You didn't make me feel like, oh, it's no big deal. You validated that this is crappy, but you're not going through it alone, and we're going to figure out a way through it. And not only did we do that, I think we had an epic party.
We really did. We had such a fun time, and you had to flex, just so people know, you had to flex on not just the ceremony, but I think every element of what you had planned for the whole wedding day, down to where the reception was, where people were sitting. Everything had to be on the fly rearranged, and it's hard to explain without a visual, but the place where the reception ended up being was basically the hotel's breakfast restaurant, which was a beautiful, nice space under a big tent that they had to tarp because otherwise it would have been leaking. Everyone's like spread out at these tables, and there really was no true dance floor there. Did you guys, in your initial plan, did you have a dedicated dance floor?
Oh yeah, we bought a dance floor, and it was like brought to the hotel. It just wasn't utilized.
Okay, so the space we ended up dancing in was not a dance floor, but in hindsight, what a fun, tight, lovely, jumping, dancing environment. Like, I will always remember the dancing that happened in that space because it was not really a dance floor. It was more of the walkway. It turned into this fun space where, because it was raining, it was like wet. Everyone's feet are getting wet. We all switched to flip-flops. It was like we were dancing in a tropical storm.
So dancing in the rain, as some maids would say.
Yeah, we were dancing in the rain, and then all of a sudden the fireworks shoot off and you guys run off in the middle to go take pictures by the fireworks, and it's still kind of drizzling. And honestly, I've only seen a couple of the photos, but I bet you the photos are beautiful.
Yeah, we just got a preview today, and they're kind of out of this world. So despite all the crazy stress in the moment of the unanticipated, I think that it couldn't have gone better. And like you said, maybe if everything was perfect and peachy and planned out, it would be a little less memorable.
And I'm really happy to see that you guys, the following day, which happened to be bright and sunny and beautiful, put on your dress and put on...
Like every other day we had there.
Yeah, you put on the tux and the dress, and you got outside, and you guys did get some of those dream photos that you wanted.
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of the best of all the worlds, but definitely not easy to manage on the morning of. I will continue to validate that experience. Change of plans suddenly after you've poured so much into it is not always the most pleasant experience, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that you're not going to have an amazing wedding. And I think that part of what shook me back into earth is, I know you're not supposed to talk to the groom before the wedding, but one of my best friends and bridesmaids, she just called my husband to be and put him on the phone, and he told me everything was going to be great and everything was going to be okay. And honestly, it made everything so much better and helped me remember like what we were doing there in the first place.
Yeah, that was a really special moment when he was on the phone with you. I could hear what he was saying, and I could obviously hear what you were saying, and he was just validating you that you guys are about to get married. And I remember you saying, we're already married, because I guess you guys had technically gotten married the week before.
Yeah.
I'm happy that you were able to come back from it, because even though I would say the eye of the hurricane was when you were walking down the aisle.
Literally.
You guys somehow made that powerful. And people sitting there, you know, the audience was fine. We all had umbrellas. We were undercover, and you guys were the ones who were getting soaked. But to watch you guys read your vows up there to each other and stand up there, and the backdrop ended up being extra beautiful, and like you guys are just against this beautiful floating floral arrangement with the sky behind you. I mean, do you remember standing up there?
Of course, I remember standing up there, and honestly, I was so locked into Bryce, my husband to be, but now husband, and I think vice versa, that we really just were like standing in the rain. It almost felt like we were by ourselves, like just telling each other our vows and how we felt. It was really powerful, I agree.
Yeah, it was so cute to watch you guys talk to each other and to just see the water like dripping off of his tux, and I could see you looking at it and laughing. It seemed like at that point you just were like, we're here, it's happening, and you were honestly starting to enjoy it. And then when you came in, you actually changed out of your gown earlier than you anticipated because it got so wet.
True.
That you put on your other dress and your sneakers, and you came out with your tight bun and your sneakers and your dress, and then you were ready to dance.
Yeah, absolutely. And another change of plans in the midst of all the changes, but it all worked out for the best.
Well, congrats on being a wife. I love you and I love Bryce. What a memorable experience. Michael and I had so much fun, and I'm so grateful that you let me call you and put you on my podcast.
Love you, crazy person.
I love you. Have a good one.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Real Stuff podcast. If you're liking the show, please head over to Apple or Spotify and leave us a written review. If you're watching on YouTube, drop a comment down below and join in the conversation. And if you're feeling called to be a guest on the show, visit luciefink.com/apply and tell us your story. Thank you so much, as always, for sharing your time and attention with us, and we will see you next time on the Real Stuff podcast.
Please note that this episode may contain paid endorsements and advertisements for products and services. Individuals on the show may have a direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to in this episode.